Yesterday was one of the most bullish days we've had in crypto for a very long time, but is now the time to start taking profits? Or if you're sideline, is now the time to start entering positions? Or are you too late? Today, we're going to discuss all that and why Cardano and Solana have been some of the strongest altcoins so far. This is your Altcoin Buzz News. Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Cody, and if you're new here, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know when we drop latest content. Follow us on Twitter, altcoinbuzz.io, and as always, the not financial advice, and wish you the best of luck in your crypto ventures. All right, you guys, happy Friday. It has been a wild past couple of, really the last 24 hours have been wild. Ethereum's up 25%, which is basically unheard of for Ethereum. Bitcoin's up a whole bunch, and every other altcoin is probably doing double digits as well. So I see a lot of FOMO on the timeline, myself included. I feel this, but I want to talk about the psychology real quick before we get started in the news, where you haven't missed the meat of the move. The move is just getting started. And so this is a great time to be really locked in for the next couple of months, but also to be looking for positions, looking for pullbacks, looking for opportunities to get involved in the market, because the market hasn't taken off without you. We are just getting started into this next phase of the bull market. And what's important to know is if you look back here, this is back in late 2023, early 2024, in a similar situation where Bitcoin broke out of this multi-month range here. We broke out through $30,000 and we went to $33,000. Everyone was in disbelief when that happened. We thought we'd probably get some kind of pullback test around $31,000, and then we'd take off again. And so a lot of people didn't want to buy at this candle when Bitcoin had surged like crazy from 29 to all the way up to $35,000. People thought it was too late. They had missed the meat of the move. But then as you see over the next coming months, we continue to grind up, blasting through and continuing up and never coming back down to this level again. And so something is very possible that something like that could happen again right now, where we have blasted through. And usually what happens is Bitcoin likes to blast through these levels and leave people sidelined and not give them a chance to re-enter. So when the market changes like this, you need to look for shallow consolidations. Not saying you need to enter everything right now, but there's always, these liquidation candles, these 5%, 10% moves down. But there's also these consolidations, which you can see on the hourly time frame. You can see right here, I'll show you. Right now, we're in one of those little consolidations, and Bitcoin likes to do these consolidations and continue higher to the obvious point of resistance, which right now is the new all-time high. We're only about 6% away. So Bitcoin likes to blast through and go to these all-time highs, but every time it retests an all-time high, there's usually a huge sell-off, about 10%. So you want to be positioning for when these things do happen. Look, last time we went to all-time high, you can see here, this was back in January 2025. Last time we went to all-time high, we wicked up into it, but then we also sold back off to around 99,000. So we had a 10K candle in a single day here. So there are going to be opportunities to get back in. You don't want to FOMO in large leverage right now, but you also want to be watching for consolidations on the hourly chart, because what will happen is you'll be able to see these consolidations like this, where Bitcoin or whatever altcoin gets ready for its next move up. And a lot of times as we change market structure and we go from, this downwards kind of chop, or we go sideways, when we shift to this bullish market structure, a lot of times the pullbacks aren't as deep because people are front running and they want to get into the position. But there will always be these chances where we can have these large liquidation candles like this, especially when we go towards new all-time highs. A lot of people leave their sells up here. So as we hit new all-time highs, usually there's a sell-off, and then we continue higher again through resistance and make new all-time highs. So that's one thing I'll be talking about as we get through all these altcoins today. While they have pumped, there is still plenty of opportunity. Even though Bitcoin is almost at all-time highs, you look at some of these altcoins, which I'll show you real quick. We'll take off all the charts. Cardano here, which we're talking about today, still here. It's like 50% off its all-time high. We have Solana here, which is, even though it's doing well at 172, still we have 298 is our all-time high. So there's still opportunities to get in. XRP is still here, 240. All-time high is 340. SUI, we're at almost $4. We still have a long ways to go for a lot of these altcoins. Ondo at $1, all-time high, I believe, is 213. So a lot of these altcoins, which we're going to go over in a minute today, a lot of these are still off their all-time highs. They were down at 95%, and now they're up, maybe 50%. But it still means they need 1,000% to get back to all-time highs. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about today. You're not late. You just want to start really paying attention right now, getting involved, looking for low-time consolidations, looking for sell-offs, and not over leveraging. The key part of bull markets is you just don't want to get wiped out. You don't want to get liquidated. So you want to use lower leverage, but you want to be constantly paying attention to the market, seeing what's happening, and watching for these, big sell-offs or consolidations on the 1 hour. Now, starting off today, we have this, which kind of really started this pump yesterday. We have Trump saying, you better go out and buy stocks now. Let me tell you, this country will be like a rocket ship that goes straight up. If stocks soar, crypto will likely follow. The momentum is building and it's hard to ignore.
You better go out and buy stock now. Let me tell you, this country will be like a rocket ship that goes straight up. This is going to be numbers that nobody's ever seen before.
And then very importantly, we have Ki Young-ju, who is the founder and CEO of CryptoQuant. And so a couple of months ago, I don't know if you remember, he had a post that was kind of shocking to the market because he said, the bull market is over. All these on-chain indicators point that we're done because of these whales selling. So now he posted this yesterday saying, 2 months ago, I said the bull cycle was over, but I was wrong. Bitcoin selling pressure is easing and massive inflows are coming through ETFs. In the past, the Bitcoin market was pretty simple. The main players were old whales, miners, and new retail investors, basically passing the bag to each other. When retail liquidity dried up and old whales started cashing out, it was relatively easy to predict the cycle peak. It was like a game of musical chairs. Everyone tried to cash out at once. But now the Bitcoin market has become much more diverse. ETFs, MicroStrategy, institutional investors, and even government agencies are considering buying and selling Bitcoin. In the past, profit-taking cycles were triggered when whales cashed out at the peak, leading to a chain reaction of sell-offs and a price drop. However, it feels like it's time to throw out that cycle theory. New liquidity sources and volume are becoming more uncertain, signaling a transition as the Bitcoin market merges with TradFi. Now, instead of worrying about old whales selling, it's important to focus on how much new liquidity is coming in from institutions and ETFs, since the new influx can outweigh even strong whale sell-offs. So basically, he goes on to say that this time is definitely different. The cycles are playing out in different ways with new, governments, with new institutions, with new ETFs playing out. So it's very hard to predict this cycle, especially compared to the last one. But it really does feel like we had like a mini bear market in the past couple months with, altcoins selling off 95%, and then now emerging again. So it feels very different than last cycles. So you have to kind of take it as it comes. We also have Crypto RS saying long-term holders have been accumulating Bitcoin since March. Short-term holders began accumulating last week. Time for the paper hands to FOMO back in. And we can see here, long-term holders have been buying since March. Short-term holders were selling during that time, but now there's a slight uptick in short-term holders. We also have Bitcoin surpassing Amazon to become the 5th largest asset in the world with a market cap of $2.05 trillion, with Amazon surprisingly at $2.03 trillion. So huge. Next, it has NVIDIA to surpass Apple and Microsoft, but then the gold is sitting at $22 trillion. So Bitcoin is about 11x, 10x away from gold right now. Hey Americans, we found an exchange that gives you the best of both worlds. Want to trade spot markets on over 400 trading pairs, and without KYC, you can. Want to trade perpetual markets on over 150 trading pairs with KYC that accepts Americans and Canadians as well? You can. The only exchange we've seen in the market that lets you do both simple spot trading without KYC and perps trading with KYC that Americans can use is BYDFi. And they have a great new promotion going on right now where you can win a Rolex. BYDFi gives you all the tools you need and without crazy requirements. The promotion goes from now through June 6th, so you have almost a full month to take part. After you sign up for your BYDFi account or log in if you already have one, here's what you need to do. If you trade at least $1,000 worth, then you get a $35 bonus credited to your account. Prizes move up from there and include AirPods, an iPad, a new iPhone 16, a cool Louis Vuitton backpack, and finally a Rolex Submariner with a retail value of $10,000. Those are some amazing prizes for doing what you'd likely be doing anyway by trading on a tier 1 exchange like BYDFi. So if you haven't checked out BYDFi yet, now's the time to try. Just use the link down below to sign up. Don't worry about doing KYC and start trading to get your bonuses. And then moving on, we have Cardano, which has outperformed Apple, NVIDIA, Tesla, Microsoft, and Amazon over the last 300 days. You can see the chart here compared to all of these different ones, up 82% in the last 300 days. We also have Block News saying, just in, Cardano is on the verge of closing its highest daily candle in over 60 days. And also, Minter shares this, where Cardano is about to be part of the U.S. digital asset stockpile. We have CryptoFits, who recently said this about Cardano.
So Cardano still in the top 10 market cap cryptos. Many say that this could be an addition to Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and Cardano could be part of our U.S. digital asset stockpile. Of course, Bitcoin is going to be in the strategic reserve, but the other four will be as part of the stockpile. Many are betting a dime on that.
And we also have Cardano's #1 DEX, MinSwap, launching instant swap settlement, making trading on Cardano faster than ever. We also have the midnight airdrop on Cardano releasing this summer, which is actually happening somewhat soon. So Cardano's Midnight project is set to launch as one of the largest cryptocurrency airdrops in history. According to recent announcements, the Midnight airdrop is expected to take place in May or June 2025, benefiting about 37 million users across multiple blockchain communities. The majority of Night tokens will be distributed to ADA holders, but the airdrop will also include users who hold other cryptocurrencies, such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and even XRP. So big things coming soon for Cardano. Cardano is actually looking pretty good, and this is an example of where we wanted to wait for it to come back above this zone. And so using TA, we can now see, okay, this is an area where we want to wait for this level to reclaim. If it comes back, back down to this level, we'll set alerts here at around 74 cents. And ideally, we see some consolidation, maybe going to New York Open today. We're up so much yesterday. Maybe today is going to be a little bit of a red day, which is a great area to get pullbacks and entries for different assets. So something like this, where if we can have, pull back down to 74, we can put our stops below this level here around 64. We can take our first profit around 84 cents if you want to, or you can target back to these highs around $1.13. I think that's a pretty good trade if we're going to continue this bullish momentum, which I believe we are. And then we have Arkham saying, announcing a new feature, Solana name surface search. You can now search for KOLs and Solana traders directly by their .sol username on Arkham Intelligence. You can now search by SNS name, in addition to entity name, ENS name, and even Twitter handle. So you can search pretty much anyone you want to follow here on Arkham Intelligence, even .sol names. And we have Christian saying, in Q1 2025, Solana led all blockchains in network revenue, surpassing even Ethereum at 65,000 transactions capacity and ultra low fees. Now, Solana is one of the stronger coins for sure right now. This is a trade that we had kind of set up the other day, but unfortunately I didn't even take it because a lot was going on. And this is an example of, it's a lot easier to be an analyst than it is to be a trader. I didn't even take this, but this would have played out perfectly. We're pretty much heading to this level of resistance here around 180. But Solana is one of the stronger coins, but I kind of wanted to share this example because even though it feels like, it's been super bullish, myself feeling FOMO that I'd even take this trade, we are still below these levels of resistance. So even though Bitcoin is getting close to all-time highs, as soon as Bitcoin breaks above these new all-time highs, altcoins are going to be following soon as well. So even if you weren't even able to get into Solana until above this level around 190-ish, this is still a great trade to take Solana because you could target new all-time highs on Solana, whether it's $300, your target's $350, $400, whatever it might be. This is still a great trade to take on a higher time frame, even just buying spot, because we're still a ways away from all-time highs on all these altcoins, even though Bitcoin's only about 6% away. So this is still something I'd probably look to trade. If we could reclaim this high time frame level here around 190, is another great trade. But likewise, I think we probably will get a bit of a pullback on Solana. It'll do some kind of like upwards chop consolidation, or we'll go sideways like this, and then we'll break through this level of resistance, something like that. That's another possibility for Solana, because that's pretty much what happened with Bitcoin. If you look here, we were consolidating underneath this level of resistance around $96,000, and then we just blast through this level. Anything between 160 and 170-ish, I bet it'll do a consolidation on the 1 to 4 hour, and then it'll shoot through this level of resistance like Bitcoin just did as well. And then moving on to ETH, which has been my least favorite, but has been, the most hated rally going on in the past day. We have institutions are accumulating Ethereum. Abraxas Capital has withdrawn almost 50,000 ETH, worth $92 million from Binance and Kraken today alone. We also have Look on Chain saying this whale seems extremely bullish on ETH. He just deposited another 8.8 million USDC to add to his ETH long position. His current position has reached 17,000 Ethereum, worth $36.3 million, with an unrealized profit of over $1.4 million. And then we also have the Pectra upgrade, which went live. Probably part of this, this pump that Ethereum has had, but also it's just been one of the, most, sold off coins, and it needed to rally at some point. So I think in combination with being bullish yesterday, the Pectra upgrade, and a couple other things, Ethereum pumped the hardest. So we have Cyclops saying, biggest Ethereum upgrade ever, happened 2 hours ago, and no one's talking about it. The upgrade is happening today, May 7th, so what's changing? Transactions, safe updates, smart wallets, and staking. As for transactions, approvals will no longer be needed, and swaps can finally be done in a single transaction. Moreover, you'll be able to perform multiple actions within one transaction, and anyone can sponsor transactions, meaning you won't need to hold ETH on every network, which is very important. For safe updates, we have a new feature called Spending Control is being introduced. This means daily withdrawal limits from your wallet, and there will also be other major security upgrades, which will make transactions faster and cheaper. For smart wallets, we have one more key thing to be introduced, is the recovery mechanics. These recovery mechanics use account abstraction technology. It turns wallets into smart contract wallets, giving them programmable logic. And as for staking will become more flexible and efficient by raising the validator cap from 32 ETH to 2,048 ETH, which is massive. There'll also be faster deposit recognition and smart contract enabled withdrawals. This will give even more control over assets for validators and stakers. So that is Ethereum's Pectra upgrade, and it pumped by what was 25% yesterday. Now, it has come into this major level of resistance that we were talking about for a long time, and I said I'd be interested in Ethereum if it got back above this level. Now, we have pumped straight into it, and we are kind of rejecting from it right now, having a bit of a sell-off, but the fact that we have pumped to this level is very bullish. Now, pretty much like I was saying before, I would wait for a level reclaim above this level around 2380, somewhere around there to get back into position. But if you do want to get in, anything around this 2100-ish area for a pullback on the day, if we do get one around New York Open, is probably pretty good for a long or buy if you want to buy Ethereum. But likewise, for me, on the higher time frames, if I do want to trade Ethereum or if I want to long it, I want to see it get back above this major level of resistance. This is a multi-year level of support and resistance. And once we get back above this, it'll be definitely a lot more bullish for Ethereum. But like I said at the beginning of this video, you haven't missed anything just yet. Ethereum is still, under $2,400 with an all-time high of just about $5,000. So that's still 2x away from all-time highs on Ethereum. If you do think we're going to all-time highs, you're still pretty early for Ethereum. So watch out for any of these levels. Watch out for any pullbacks on New York Open today. I'm sure we'll have a bit of a pullback. And even if we do go straight to all-time highs, there will be some kind of huge selling and we'll be able to get a position there. So that is the video for today, guys. It is going to be a very interesting day, a very interesting weekend, but I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to not use too much leverage and be smart. We don't want to lose all of our money before the fun begins. And I will see you guys on Monday.